What's up and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 lures that you can use that will catch you crappie every time you're out on the water. These top 5 are my personal favorites. I've caught a ton of fish with these and they just straight up work, guys. I've selected these top 5 lures based on the performance that they have given over time. I've tested these lures out for a very long time. Trust me, you can take my word for this. I'm going to give it to you straight. So coming in at number 5, we have the ZMan Shad FryZ. And it looks just like this. As you can see, just a little minnow style bait. These are made of Elastec. So as you can see, they are very stretchy. What that does in the water is it causes it to be buoyant. So when you have a jig head hooked up on here and it's sitting in the water, it's actually going to float. It's going to look something along the lines like, let's say you got this jig head. So this is going to be buoyant in the water. You thread it through a jig head just like this. I'm actually going to show you. You know, kind of poke it through the top, thread it through just like any other thing, and you want to push it up. Now I have a hook keeper on these jig heads, so I got to push it kind of hard so it goes through, but it looks just like that. That's not the most straight in the world how I'd like it, but I'm just doing a quick demonstration. But as you can see, that tail's moving, man. So when it's in the water, that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be giving a ton of action. And then also when it's sitting, when it's falling, it's going to fall just like this because that Elastec floats. It doesn't sink. So it's going to fall just like this down the water column. So you're going to get bit more on the fall, which is it's a great time to actually get bit. Because as you know, crappie, they look up when they feed. So this is an excellent bait. I primarily use this when I'm trolling or casting. When the fish are a little bit more active, spring, summer, fall, I will use this bait just because it draws attention to it with that action. And I mean, it's great to troll with. If I know I'm going across the lake and I'm covering a ton of water, I'll throw one of these bad guys out because it's just sitting there just promoting action the entire way. I know I don't have to do anything, but I just need it in the water and it's going to straight up catch fish. So this guy right here, this Shad Fry, I have at number 5. The package does look like this. The Micro Finesse ZMan Shad FryZ. I'm going to have that linked in the description so you can get you some. They're priced decent. They're not super expensive. They're not super cheap. Right in the middle. About what you would expect to pay for something like this. My number 4 bait is something that I think is very underrated. I don't see a ton of people using these when it comes to catching crappie. But as far as catching crappie when things are kind of slow, like let's say middle of summer, crappie just aren't eating up like they were in the spring or like when they are late in the fall, but you want something that's going to catch those fish that, you know, they're still eating. It's summertime, you know, they got to eat, but they're just not as active. And that right here, folks, is a tube jig right there, if you can see that up close. So a tube jig, what is a tube jig? Tube jig is it's a different than your standard jig, and you put a tube over it, and a tube is a soft plastic that has all these little fanned out tails there on the end. And what that does when it's in the water is those tails shoot out and puff. It looks like the gills of a fish, you know, kind of, you know, making that sort of action in the water. These work very good for crappie, especially in the summer. I mean, really, they do work any time of year, but I've found when I'm not getting as much as I would like, I switch to a tube jig and I can catch a ton of fish with them. Primarily how I fish these are on slip bobbers. I know the fish, they're suspended by some brush piles in medium deep water. You know, we're talking the second level. So, you know, if you got a 30-foot lake and you know they're hanging out around 10-15 feet over a brush pile, I'm switching to a tube jig because all I got to do is cast out and just let it sit. If there's any sort of current flow whatsoever under a slip bobber, those tubes, you know, the little the back tails area, that's just going to do all the work for you. So all you got to do is cast it out, maybe pop it every once in a while, and you're going to get big. I've actually, this last summer, I used these a bunch of times, but I caught a limit, probably about 5 times in one day off of these tube jigs in the middle of the summer. These tube jigs straight up work. They come in a variety of colors. I think the color variety, you really want to experiment with that. They do work. Some colors seem to work better in different places. I've had luck with the yellows. I've had luck with the greens. I've had luck with the black body, with the pink, and I have had luck with the pink and black tails. Bass Pro makes a very fine tube jig that's really cheap. Plastic does get beat up a little bit, so you constantly have to switch up, but they do straight up catch fish. And then I also use these power bait ones. These power bait tube jigs work great. They're not priced very badly. It's about $4 for a 5 or 6 pack, and these are extremely durable. These will not, these will last all day. So I'll also have that linked in the description. But that's my number 4, these tube jigs. Alright, so for number 3, don't underestimate it. It works really good. It works all times of the year, spring, summer, fall, even in the winter. And this is what it is. It is a Marabou jig, if you can see that there. So these Marabou jigs, they have those feathers on the end, and that just creates a ton of action. And it's got some of them have ties on the hook part there, and then this one here, it's got some flash to it, as you can see. I love these things. Usually they're the big eye with the stinger hooks, where if you get bit, it's not coming off, because crappie have those paper mouths. But these Marabou jigs, I tell you what, they just tear them up. During the spring, I probably caught 3-4 limits in a week off of these simple Marabou jigs. And just so you know, these Marabou jigs, they will catch pretty much everything. I've caught pike, I've caught bass, I've caught all different types of lures. So if you're just going out just trying to catch anything, this is what you want to throw around. But yeah, these things just straight up work. I love these things. Another cool thing about these Marabou jigs is they have just this little subtle action. You can cast it, you can retrieve it, you can just cast it and vertical jig it almost, and these fish will bite it. I mean, there's really no wrong way you can work this. I've caught fish under slip bobbers with the Marabou jig. I mean, really, they just straight up work. You really don't have to do a whole lot. You can't really underwork these, I should say. Some people, if you cast and retrieve fast, you're overworking the bait. You got to give a chance, like, for the fish to eat it. With these, you want to go as slow as possible, and you're gonna catch fish. All right, guys. So before we get to number 1, we have number 2. And you might be wondering what number 2 is. Well, I'll tell you what, number 2 is an absolute killer too. It really is a toss-up between 1 and 2, and the only reason I picked this is number 2 is because this shines in all conditions. Number 1, I feel like catches more fish, but number 2, it's when you got those windy days, those cloudy, light rain, when there's maybe a little distress, sprinkles on the water, or you just had some really bad weather. I've had number 2 catch fish in those conditions when the fish feel maybe the pressure or the barometric pressure's up. It just puts them in the boat. And that is right here. It is a Beetle spin. These are extremely cheap. They got this blade on the top, so as you're pulling them through the water, that blade's spinning, creating a vibration, a pulse. It's going to get a little shine from the sun on there. It's going to draw attention to the fish, and it's just a standard jig. I got this one's an 1/8 ounce jig. I usually use a 1/16 ounce depending on how deep the water I'm at, and then that's just a regular standard jig, and then it's just like a minnow style bait on the back. But man, I will troll these, I will cast these, I'll let them sink. I've been hit on the fall many a times with this. Really the most I get catches with this is when it's windy. When you're out there and that wind is going and it's hard to keep your bait up in the water, or keep it down in the water column where those fish are, and you're just struggling, you're not catching much, it's windy, I will switch to one of these. I feel like for whatever reason that when it's windy, that blade helps keep it lower in the water column. And I mean, you'll get hooked up, man. It works. I love these things to death. I know I mentioned the Shad FryZ when trolling, but if it's really windy and I need to cover some water too, you can also throw one of these guys. And the cool part is, this jig head here, this is replaceable. If there's a certain jig head you absolutely love and a certain minnow style bait that you absolutely love, you can take this off. I've taken these off and I put a stinger hook on there with like a regular minnow style bait. You could do it with the Shad Fry. You know, that might be a little bit too much action, but I mean, really any minnow style, any minnow style, Bobby Garland, whatever, you can put on there and work it that way too. But the main part of it is this flash of the spinner bait here. That's what gives, you know, that's what catches those fish, the attention from that. Excellent bait, worthy of number one, giving it, you know, to second place solely off of preference. But you know, if you can throw one of these around, you're gonna have a lot of luck. You're gonna catch a lot of fish. If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I'm just a young man who loves to fish. You know, I don't really do a whole lot of extra, you know, other stuff. You know, I like to watch some football. I love my Michigan, just won national championship. I love my Lions. You know, I love watching them. But other than that, you know, I'm spending time with my family, and I'm out there fishing. That's the two things I love the most in the world. Now, for number one, this is something you gotta have in your tackle box every single day of the week. You will catch fish with this, and that is a crappie magnet. And this is one on a Bombite jig, 16th ounce jig. As you can see there, it's got the little stinger hook. I just tie a uni knot to it, and man, you can throw this, you know, around cover. You might get hung up sometimes, but you know, the way the hook is bent there, see how it's bent in? That will cause a lot of, you can get through cover. I mean, these Bombite jigs work, and then these crappie magnets. So this is crappie magnet without the jig. You know, it's got two split tails, so it causes a little bit of displacement, you know, a little bit of action when it's going through the water. And then as you can see, it's got like these ribs on it. And I feel like that helps with trying to keep it buoyant in the water. And it doesn't just like go beam or just go beam. I feel like it really helps the action. These come in a variety of colors. This is one of my go-tos, probably my number one go-to, orange with the chartreuse tail. And then it's got the little black flakes in there. I mean, that right there is, that color just straight up kills it. You can use these under any sort of circumstance. You can slip bobber it, you can cast it, you can vertical jig it, you can troll it, you can throw it on the Beetle spin. There's just so many ways you can use this bait. It's so versatile. It catches so many fish in so many rough situations. I mean, I have one of these tied on 100% of the time, and I'm throwing it 100% of the time I'm on the water. I might not throw it all day. I might mix it up and try some other things, but this is my number one thing that I throw. And I catch so many fish with this guy here. And the great thing is it's cheap. You're not going to pay an arm and a leg, and you're going to save a lot of money. You're not going to go through lures. They don't get beat up. Now, if you catch like a pike or something, yeah, it might get a little beat up, but I've caught 2 pike, you know, and probably 6 bass and 15 crappie with just one in a single day. It was actually a pink and chartreuse one, I remember. It was in the spring, last spring. It was awesome. Great day. But yeah, here's the packaging. As you can see here, these guys, this is a 50 pack, man. This is a 50 pack. It cost me like $5 right there. CrappieMagnet.com. Made in the USA, so you can't beat it. But you know, I got so many in here, man. I use this all summer, and look at how many I got left. You know, I got like a full pack left, you know. But I mean, my number one lure, guaranteed to catch you fish. They just straight up work. Well, just so all of you guys know, I do link all of the stuff that I use in the description. I use a St. Croix ultralight rod. I use anywhere from 6 foot to 6 foot 11. I use a Shimano Static 1000 series reel. I use Braid. I use 10-pound Braid to a 4-pound monofilament leader, and that's tied with a double uni knot. My leader lengths, I usually tie a very long one, and it goes down as I'm tying other stuff up until I need to tie a new leader. I've had a lot of success this way. I know a lot of people use monofilament, which you can. Nothing wrong with that. That's just simply my preference. I like that little extra backbone, and I like to fight with that, you know, that ultralight, just because I run into a lot of pike and bass and other bigger fish, walleye, stuff like that, so I don't want to break off. But yeah, I got that stuff linked in the description. Everything that I use is in the description. Everything I've listed in this video is in the description. If you stuck around this far, you know, again, I really thank you, appreciate you. You know, I hope you can take something today and apply it, and I hope you just catch more fish, man. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm having fun sharing my experiences. This is what I do. This is what I do. So, but thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you. Hope you have the best day ever. And if you got any questions, you know, send me a message, leave me a comment. I'm here for them. You know, I appreciate you guys so much. God bless. See you later.